Alan Stratton from Woodturning. Today I'm going to make a square bowl out of this cherry. This is based on a presentation by Eli Avisera a short time ago. In this presentation he used a bowl gouge and a skew. He used maple, I think about 4 inches. My cherry is about 5 inches square. I found the center and it's ready to go. But he used a jamb chuck, pre-prepared, covered with hobby foam or craft foam. That is, I used contact cement to glue it to this. But in order to make this shape, I want to use this multiple times. So I drew a template, just drawing various lines and curves. I used PowerPoint for this, for those who know it, and then chose the one that I wanted to use and cut it and use that as a template to shape the jamb chuck with. The jamb chuck itself is made of 2 layers of MDF and then 1 layer of baltic birch. I used baltic birch for the base layer because I would not trust MDF to handle the stress of the compression of the jamb, of the scroll chuck or the expansion. I actually made this back plate so that it will fit my scroll chuck in with the small jaws in either compression or expansion, and the larger jaws also. As you can see, I need just to trim the foam just a little bit more, but otherwise this is ready to go. And this is about 8 inches in diameter. So this I'll use many times, and I'll use my template many times. I'll probably mount this to a piece of wood also so that it would be preserved. So, Eli, before you can innovate, you have to imitate. So I'm going to imitate Eli and then innovate from there later.
The bulk is wood is mounted just on the chuck with open jaws with only tailstock pressure. That was sufficient for this and sufficient to hold it, as the main task at this point is only to form the tenon to mount the bowl on as you flip it around. So once that tenon or spigot is formed, just flip it over and mount it in the scroll chuck. These are my small jaws. The first thing then is to mark the curve that you want on the side of the blank so that you don't have to keep referring to the template quite so often. Then carefully find the corners. Out there on the corners, it's just a lot of air most of the time. So the way Eli demonstrated finding the corners is to go in and then come back out to the corner with just the bevel of the gouge. Then once you find the corner, then you turn the gouge just a smidgen and cut inward again. Now I went ahead and power sanded this. That is against Eli's recommendation. Eli said hand sand for crisp edges, but I got a tip from a woodworker at the Salem, Oregon Fair who said, okay, as long as you have your power sander on solid wood at all times and watch very, very carefully the angle of the sanding pad, it will give you a good crisp angle. So I went ahead and I'm happy with the result. Then number the sides to keep track of them, and then move the blank out on the tenon just a couple of 2 or 3 millimeters on side 1 so that it's no longer quite as concentric as it was. Then make 2 grooves with the skew, then go to side 2, a couple of grooves, side 3, make a couple of grooves, side 4, make a couple of grooves. And that's where I should have stopped, but I thought I could make a 5th one by going back to side 1, and that didn't turn out as well as I would have liked. So then it's ready to flip over against the jamb chuck. That is, because of the template, it matches the shape and is able to give good uniform pressure. This is a very thin bowl at this point, and any uneven pressure would tend to crack it or be bad news for it. So then finish the bottom, at least the outer portions of the bottom. Here again, by very carefully maintaining it, I was able to power sand that and get it mostly done. Then with masking tape, secure the blank to the jamb chuck and finish the very bottom center of the bottom. This is a very light pressure to pretty it up, form it up, and then sand it. The very center I sanded by hand. It's a little bit too small for any power sanding, at least in my opinion. And pretty it up, sign it, and sand it a little bit more. I applied finish off the lathe with a little spray lacquer. I really prefer to apply finishes on the lathe. It gives me a good, smoother, more uniform finish, but with the square bowl, do have to sand off those final edges and then apply a finish. I used a semi-gloss finish on this, and it actually turned out quite well. I would have done differently for that last groove, but oh well, next time. And here it is. If you have any comments or suggestions, please let me know, or other projects that you'd like me to demonstrate or techniques, let me know, and I'll tackle it.